How's everybody doing today? This is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study. Today we're going to be doing Genesis chapter 39. If you would like me to come speak at your church or you have any questions, please email me at godsohman@gmail.com. Now we're talking about Joseph here, and you can buy this chart right here from drdino.com. There are six of them for $30. Or if you know me personally, I'll sell you one for $5, which is the same price. And what this does is it shows you the firstborns of every family, when they had their child, when they died, where the flood is. And as we were talking before, Abraham, he was the father of all the 12 tribes of Israel, or the father of the Israelites. So you have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then Jacob had 12 sons, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, which is Joseph. And about 6,000 years after the flood, this is the last person that any dates were given for, is Joseph. And then we have secular history that talks about everything basically from then. And we even have different information talking about Belshazzar, which is, or not Belshazzar, but information about Joseph. That he was the second in command of the Pharaoh. And it's a lot of interesting things. They actually have his Hebrew name on there. I can't remember what is off the top of my head, but that's the last person that the dates are given of when they were born and when they died. So from then on, you basically have secular history. So from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which was Jacob's 12 tribes of Israel, happened right around 2000 BC. You can see on this little chart down here on the bottom where exactly we're looking at. And the sons of Jacob, you had Jacob basically had 4 wives: Leah, Zilpah, Beldaz, and Rachel. And Jacob's favorite was Rachel, and she had 2 sons, Joseph and Benjamin. And we're going to be talking about Joseph today. And if you remember in the last chapter, or a couple chapters ago, Joseph was in Hebron, and his father said, "Hey, go up to Shechem and see how your brothers are doing." When he got up to Shechem, he met a man, and the man said, "Oh, those guys, they went to Dothan, so we're going to go ahead and go up to Dothan." And when they got to Dothan, their brothers didn't like him that much, so they put him in a pit, trying to leave him to die. And they saw some traders come by, and they basically sold him to the traders. I'll try to put the link up top, that way you can go check out that Bible study. And the traders actually went all the way down to either Zoan or Tanis. They went down to Egypt to basically sell him on the black market. So when Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, the office of the Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, he bought him from the hands of the Ishmeelites, which had brought him down thither. And it was actually pretty common customs that different people would find runaways and strays and just basically people when they'd sell them as slaves. And they'd go to the market and people would bid on them. And, if they were in good health, they'd get more money than if they were in poor health. And they'd basically just use them for slaves to do whatever they want. That was the common practice of the Egyptians. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, that the Lord made all that he did prosper in his hands. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer of his house, and all they had put into his hands. You have to understand that when you're in a situation like this, 600 miles or more from your home, what are you going to do? I mean, you're kind of in this situation. They didn't have the internet back then. They didn't have phones back then. There's almost no way that his father's going to know where he's at, where he went. The only thing he's going to know is that his sons are going to basically say, "Oh, well, wild beast got a hold of him." So they didn't even know where he went. All they knew was they sold him to the Ishmeelites. So there's nothing you could do. So you might as well just make the best of it. Serve your master. Try to be a good servant. And by doing so, you won't get beat and you won't get killed and stuff like that. So Joseph took care of Potiphar. It says that Potiphar put him in charge of everything. So Joseph was basically in charge of everything in Potiphar's house. And it came to pass at the time that he had made his overseer of the house over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. So Potiphar found out that having Joseph in charge of everything, made him even richer than he already was. Everything that Joseph seemed to touch prospered and blossomed. So Potiphar thought this guy Joseph is amazing. Everything he does is just amazing. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hands, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a godly person and did well and was well favored. So Potiphar didn't even care what Joseph did. He basically said, "You're in charge of everything. I'm not going to go behind you and micromanage you. You're in charge of it." The only thing he knew about is the bread that he ate, because he could see the bread disappearing. So he was in charge of everything. He didn't even question what Joseph did because he knew that he was a godly man. And it came to pass after these things that the master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." So Potiphar's wife kept seeing Joseph and said, "This guy's a good-looking guy. I want him to sleep with me." But Joseph refused and said unto his master's wife, "Behold, my master wotteth not what is in me in the house, and he had committed all that he had with my hands. And there is none greater in this house than I. Neither has he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. And how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" So Joseph's saying, Potiphar has given me everything I could possibly ever want. The only thing he hasn't given me is you, because you're his wife. So how could I sin against him and God? That's against my morals. That's against my beliefs, and I know that I'm going to upset Potiphar if I do this. So there's no way I'm going to do this. And it came to pass as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. So it says she sought him out day by day. So every day she continually said, "Lie with me, lie with me, lie with me." So it was continually temptation, and Joseph kept saying, I'm not gonna go against Potiphar. I'm not gonna go against God. And he refused all of her wantings to be with him. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. So there was one day that there was nobody else in the house but him and Potiphar's wife. And she decided to make her move, and she went over to him and she grabbed his clothes and she said, "Lie with me." And he ran so fast that he left his garment with her. So she grabbed the back of his robe and was yanking on it, and he just basically took off. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of their house and spoke unto them, saying, "See, he hath bought a Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came unto me to lie with me." And she cried with a loud voice. So she didn't call her husband, she called the men of the house, the different servants, and basically said, "This man over here tried to do these things to me." And I think that she did that because she knew her husband wasn't going to believe her, but she thought maybe these servants would believe her because, well, they were servants. They had to do what she said, and if she said say that he did this, then they have to, they have to say that. And when it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid upon his garment by her until the Lord came home. So she said, this guy tried to make moves on me, and I screamed really loud, and he got scared, so he ran off and left his garment with me. And then it says she laid up his garment by her until the Lord came home. So she put his garment next to her until Potiphar got home. And I don't know if she did this because she didn't want the servants to take it, or what the deal was, but she kept it by her until Potiphar got home. And she spoke unto him according to these words, saying, "The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came into me to mock me. And it came to pass that I lifted up my voice and cried. He left his garment with me and fled out." So she's basically saying, if you look at there in verse 17, "which thou hast brought unto us." If you remember in the Garden of Eden, um, basically God saw that they were eating the fruit, and Adam said, "The woman which thou made," basically blaming God. And then he asked the woman, and the woman said, the snake which thou made. I mean, he didn't say that thou made, but she made it imply that it's your fault. And so she's doing the same thing here, Potiphar's wife. This servant which you brought here, it's your fault. It's your fault, sir. Potiphar. She's trying to place the blame on him. And this is kind of a picture just showing her acting like she's crying and Potiphar looking at the garment. I'm so enraged by that. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which she had spoken to him, saying, After this matter did thy servant to me, and his wrath was kindled. And I think that Potiphar wasn't mad at Joseph. I think he was mad at his wife. I mean, it's evident that his wife probably did this a whole bunch of times. I don't know that he really believed his wife very much. But he saw Joseph, and he saw Joseph was a godly man. He saw Joseph did everything he possibly could to help Potiphar. He made everything that he had better. But what is he supposed to do? I mean, Joseph's a servant. He's a slave, and his wife's, she's somebody. She's important. So, if you blame the wife, then the other servants might have ideas to do something bad. So he has to punish Joseph. And Joseph's master took him and put him in the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. So I don't exactly know if he was in a different prison than anybody else. It says a place where the king's prisoners were bound. So I'm almost wondering if basically he sent him to a prison for like people that were somebody that weren't as bad, rather than the prison with all the bad people. But I really don't know. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And it says that basically Joseph, he worked his way up in ranks and was basically over a bunch of the other prisoners, and he basically was a godly man. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. So basically, all the prisoners basically followed Joseph's instructions. They did what Joseph said, and Joseph was an all-around good guy. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made to prosper. So the keeper of the prison didn't even bother what Joseph did. He trusted him, because he knew that everything that Joseph did ended up prospering. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys checking out the Bible study. If you'd like me to come speak at your church or have any questions, just email me at godsohman@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.